Welcome to the flipped instructional session for Math 08B for Unit 403, corresponding parts of transformed figures. Our objective today is to identify corresponding parts of transformed figures. There are some vocabulary words we need to know going into this session. First, there is the pre-image and image. The pre-image is the original figure. The image is the figure after the transformation, so it's the new figure. We have different types of transformations. We have a reflection, a rotation, and a translation. So before we go into those three, let's talk about what a transformation is. A rigid transformation is a transformation that does not change the size or shape of a figure. So we're going to be moving figures around. We might even So I did my best here. So from the pre-image to the image, the size and shape has not changed. So these three pictures I've drawn are rigid transformations. A reflection is a transformation of a figure by flipping it across a line or like segment, creating a mirror image. So this we can see is flipped. So this right here is a reflection. A rotation is the turning of a figure a certain number of degrees around a central point. So this one is rotated about this point, taking the pre-image and I've turned it or rotated it. So that's a rotation. And finally, a translation is sliding of a figure in a straight path without rotation or reflection. So this is just straight across with no rotation or reflection. So these are vocab words that we need to know as we move through this lesson. So let's take a look. Determine the direction the figure was rotated. So something that we need to know is we need to understand what is the pre-image and what is the image. So the pre-image is the figure that has the standard letters. And you can't see this, but this should be an A down here. So just letters as written. That's the pre-image. The new image after the transformation has these little tick marks after it. And we can see this one's dashed, so it's kind of easy to see. This was the image and this is the new image. So what is this? If we rotate it clockwise, we're rotating it this way. If we rotate it counterclockwise, it's this way. And this one's actually pretty difficult to tell because we could wrap it. We could keep going all the way around and it would end up like this. Or if we went backwards all the way around, we could get there both ways. So this is actually clockwise or counterclockwise. So this one, it just says match the angle to the correct corresponding angle. So we look at this and we don't know the image and the pre-image because there's no dashes. They're named differently, but we can see that this is reflected, a reflected image right over a center line here. We could reflect this onto one another. So we can see that F and C go together. Kind of weird how they wrote this out. So let's just say F and C. We see E and B go together. And then finally D and A go together. So we're just matching this goes with this after the transformation. This goes here. And this goes with this one. So we just want to make sure we're matching up the parts. This one tells us that triangle CED is a reflection of CBA. So CBA, and this is reflected. So we kind of need to see, so it's reflected over a line, so it looks like it's reflected over this diagonal line here. It says, which angle in CED corresponds to angle B? So here's CED. Which one corresponds to angle B? So when this is reflected, it's like you fold a piece of paper on that line and everything should line up. So we folded on this line, C and C line up, A and D line up, and B and E line up. So angle E is our answer. All right, pentagon ABCDE is rotated about the point D. So here's D, it's rotated about this point to create the image FGHDJ. So we want the segment in the pre-image. So remember, the pre-image is the prior to rotating. So here's our pre-image. And then the image is after the rotation. So we're going to match these up. So if we take a look at segment A, B. Now remember, it's rotated about D here. So I think it's rotated all the way around this way. So AB matches up, in this case, with FG. BC goes with GH. CD, HD, and is rotated about point D, so that makes sense. We should have the D's together. DE and DJ, and then finally EA and JF. So we're just matching it up. Triangle ABC is reflected over a line to result in triangle ABC with these little dashes. A prime, B prime, C prime is one way to read that. Reflected, so remember that means we can fold it and these line up. C goes with C prime, A goes with A prime, and B goes with B prime. It says, describe the relationship of the preimage to the image for this transformation by placing a circle around the correct bolded word to complete the sentence. Because reflection is a rigid/non-rigid transformation, so we talked about a rigid transformation means it does not change size or shape, and this has not changed size or shape, so this is a rigid transformation. The image is, when it's the same, the fancy word for same in geometry is congruent. The image is congruent to the pre-image. Therefore, the corresponding parts of the image and the pre-image are congruent. So what does that mean, corresponding parts? That means line segment AB is congruent to line segment A prime, B prime. Angle C is congruent to angle C prime. So any of these parts that match up are going to be the same size and shape from pre-image to image. For more practice, look for the flipped follow-up session on your Class Connect schedule. You can also attend Help Lab to come ask any questions you may have about the unit, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.